Sure, we're recording as well.
Better you than me.
Hi, Mike. How's it going?
It's going great, Rod. How about yourself?
Good.
You got your hair
Mike,
all you got your hair all done today. It's
yeah.
from the last time we chatted.
Mike and I have been doing regular updates regarding real estate. He's the my real estate expert to go to. And I also help him out with a blog that he has called Fraser Valley Real Estate, which is both his real estate website and just sort of a community service kind of thing that you have. You list events there and different articles about different things that are going on in the community. So yeah,
Yeah, I love
cool.
that. I love that about particularly when we go through what we're going through right now is sort of thinking about it in a community sense rather than in the sales kind of a
Yeah,
funnel. You sort of look at it and say, how can you help community and small businesses and stuff like that. I'm amazed that some of them have worked through what they've gone through and they've come through and they're still positive and they still want to make things work. But boy, it's been a grind, I'm sure.
yeah. Our most popular article was on businesses and how they're coping with COVID-19. So we've had several articles on COVID. We had one on weddings in COVID-19,
Yeah,
and we're about to release one on Father's Day, about Father's Day. Hopefully, we'll have that up later today as well.
yeah, you really learn. I mean, in this crazy time, we really learn that our small entrepreneur businesses are something we really need to support as a community.
Yeah.
And when it's all taken away from us, it's shocking how that feels. And so you want to get back there and you realize that these businesses, they don't run on big margins. We've really got to get out and support them.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I know that's a real heart of yours. I like that about you. We share that
Well,
in common. We share.
yeah,
I
totally.
have a real heart for local business as well.
Yeah, it starts at the microbreweries. It's local. It's
Yeah,
the reality is we live in this valley, and we want to see the valley flourish. And small businesses is how it flourishes. It's not the
yeah,
big box stores that make the community. They're not the ones that are actually having gone through that. They're not the ones that are actually doing the sponsorship of the little kids softball team. It's
hmm,
the small businesses that are involved with those teams in a lot of cases. Not to take it away from big box stores, but there just isn't that connection with the community. So now is our time for supporting them. So it's good. I agree, and you're right. We're both doing it. You keep those microbreweries in business over in Port Moody.
yeah. I'm wearing one. This is from
There.
Los Angeles, California. It's not
Oh,
local,
oh, that's good.
but when we were down there last time, it's a long story, but there was a beer that we just had to locate. We had had it in San Francisco, knew that the brewery was in LA. So we jumped
Yeah,
in our rental car during a break and we went, we were at a conference and we went to Noble
nice,
Ales and
nice.
had it there on site. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
we'll
just,
have to make a run.
um, so just to give a bit of a background here, as far as real estate is concerned, you sent me an article a few weeks ago from CHMC and how they, well, it wasn't from them, it was, done in the Vancouver Sun or whatever. And
Yeah,
it was talking about their dire predictions for what's going to
yeah,
happen in the real estate market. And they were actually presenting to the government of Canada, to some subcommittee, I'm sure. But yeah, the predictions weren't great. And then as time went on, all of a sudden June came, and there were a bunch of listings and sales. So
yeah.
what's going on?
Well, CMHC is a statistically driven division to give us an idea of sort of what the trends are. And they tie that into the economy, they tie that into bond markets, they tie it into a variety of things, interest rates, job security. So, when we go through something like this, which is unique, it's not our typical cycle in the market, they're taking a look at the jobs probably as much as anything. And the reality of the COVID is there's been a lot of businesses, small entrepreneurs who are not going to be able to thrive. There's also been a lot of unemployment that's come out of it. And so we don't know how that's going to, how are we going to regenerate some of the jobs that are potentially have been lost? And it was such an abrupt shift and stoppage of the economy that's probably part of the concern. They're looking at just the statistics of the unemployment and all sorts of things, and they're saying we're not going to sustain. Now, you know, statistics are great. It's kind of like an appraisal of a home. we need the statistics to be backing up a lot of what we're doing, but they don't always really have a fair photo of the trends. And so what is the trends? The trends are, there's a personality to the trends that goes beyond the statistics. And we're seeing that right now. And I think CMHC has come out with their initial concerns, and they probably would temper that a little bit more. And I think they are tempering it a little bit more. So they were talking up to about 18% of an adjustment in our markets over the next 12 months.
And they were talking about price drops, right?
Yeah, 18%.
Of particular interest to us. I was thinking, they're talking to the government of Canada, so they're talking Canada,
Yeah.
but they specifically mentioned some of the bigger centers might be the hardest hit, like Vancouver. They specifically mentioned Vancouver, yeah.
Yeah, we're benchmark provinces as far as price and cost of living. So they typically do take Toronto, and Vancouver's sort of been heaped into that. When they're talking about the communicating with the government, a lot of what they're talking about are the government programs and the restrictions that are imposed and brought in by the mortgage and housing as far as qualification process for mortgages. So there's concerns about the qualification process. Sometimes CMHC wants to see it tightened up. Sometimes CMHC wants to see it loosened. And we've had a variety of changes. Interestingly enough, the CMHC high ratio financing shifted a little bit. They went to make it a little bit harder to actually qualify to get into your mortgages. So CMHC, being the insurance company that insures high ratio mortgages, have tightened up that business. But there's not just CMHC, there's a few of them that do it. Genworth is another large one. And Genworth did not change their structure. So it's an interesting thing. When CMHC comes out and says they're going to tighten it up, everybody says, oh, gee, you better get pre-qualified. But Genworth is another alternative, and Genworth is staying the program. So they're not as restrictive. So they come up with their predictions, and we look at those predictions, and I take them with a bit of a grain of salt. I do love the statistics, but they're just not, they don't have their finger on the pulse per se. Vancouver, great example. We have just gone through a big shift in the market in the last month, and statistics are showing that people have had a pent up interest to get out and buy real estate. So that doesn't mean that, obviously a component that we don't have is we don't have a huge amount of immigration. We don't have, people flying in to buy property. So it's a community.
The article mentioned that too. Hey.
Yeah, it's around here. So people that are feeling good about the future are doing some things. Really interesting statistic. In June of 2019, we in the Fraser Valley Board had an active listing increase of 1,953. So 1,953 listings last June. 859 of those sold, or 859 sales. If you look at June this year, so we're not even through June, we're at 2,011 listings and 800 sales. So we're going to exceed a year ago.
It jumped, like when you told me about this last week, it was only at like 800 or 900, I think.
Yeah, so. Well, we were kind of on a 3-to-1 basis. For every 3 listings, we were getting a sale. So we're getting closer to 2-to-1. And based on the activity we're seeing out there right now, we're probably going to see that come up again. But the other interesting thing, it goes back, if you go back to May, there was only 1,300 listings that came in, 1,321 to be exact, and only 448 sales. So in a very, very short window of time, we've seen a burst of activity. Not usually a sustainable way to do our business. So
yeah, I was going to ask you, like, do you think it's a blip because of pent up? Yeah.
I think statistically, again, if you take that, balance it out with the market, I think what happens is that we always try to get to a balanced market for listings and sales. Right now, it's kind of reversing itself, and people are out there aggressively pursuing it. I think part of that is that we've kind of come through to some extent on COVID. The other thing is, again, if you've got a good, steady income, mortgage rates are at historic lows. So it is a great opportunity for you to be out there buying a property if you do have that job security. So I think we just had some pent up interest, and I think people are out there feeling like now is the opportunity for them to go out and make a deal. So whether it lasts longer, I suspect, again, by June, normally we start to see things taper off. we're seeing kind of the opposite. So June, July could be very busy. Usually August is a pretty quiet month because in BC we travel when the kids are out of school, but all
Not this
bets are
year.
off. All bets are off right now. It's
Could
very
be a very
interesting to go
unusual
by.
summer. Hey, yeah, because it
Yeah,
almost always slows down during the summer, doesn't it? The real estate market. Yeah.
it does. July, August are typically our slowest times. We still have sales, but there's a lot of people traveling. We get back to September, and it seems like that last quarter of the year is our first quarter and our last quarter of the year typically are, and traditionally they are the strongest quarter. So it'll be very interesting. Of course, we got to go back down and be uh, I guess we have to look at the COVID scenario and try to stay positive. If we have a resurgence of COVID in the fall, that will shift everything. And again, I think it makes it really more challenging for some of those small businesses that may have survived, the entrepreneurs, to go through another round of it may again change things for them. So the hope is that we all behave ourselves and that we're fortunate enough to get through without another round of COVID. And this can continue on into the spring. If that happens, I suspect that CMHC will make an adjustment on their statistics and they'll think a little more positive. But we still have some variables that are up in the air that tell us that we don't bet the farm yet. What's going to happen next?
So just to bring this to a close, or this part anyways, I know you have a great relationship with your clients. What are you telling your clients? What would you, if I was coming to you today
Yeah.
and I wanted to list my apartment, what would you tell me?
Well, that's a great question. Clients and customers, very different things. Right now, I'm telling my customers to hold off. I'm telling my customers, unless they have found the perfect property, I shouldn't say I tell them to hold off. What I'm telling them is right now that it's a brisk market for purchasing. If they know specifically what they want and we find it, that's great, but don't rush to buy something that is not really what you're looking for, because I think we'll see a bit of softening. If I'm working, and I am working with clients all the time, which is my listing end of the business, I'm telling them to get their butts in gear. Right now, we have an opportunity for them that they can sell. Now, there's some relativity in that too, Rod. I mean, if I have a seller that's going to sell, they've got to step back into the market as a buyer. So there is some relativity, but there are a lot of people out there that are feeling the pinch of maybe having been overextended, that may want to adjust their investments. And this is their opportunity to potentially get some activity on their home. That sort of ties back into the idea that their job security may not be what it was 6 months ago. Rather than lose it all, so to speak, or rather than stepping backwards, there's an opportunity for them to do that and sell their home again in a bit of a blip in the marketplace. But it's really dangerous to fearmonger. One has to be really careful to have a bit of a balanced approach. That's the relativity aspect of it. I do have some clients who have said to me there's some urgency, we need to make a shift. So those clients, I'm saying very clearly, this is the moment to do that.
Sure.
And
so it's very much
that's approach.
There's sort of a general approach, but it's also always comes back to the individual, right?
Absolutely.
And their needs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, relativity is typical of most markets, buying and selling. You buy high, you sell high. You sell, sell low, you buy low.
Yeah.
So there is some relativity, but there's just a little bit of a burst of activity for those people that are feeling the crunch right now.
How different than the run we had 2 or 3 years ago, where it was like, you couldn't kind of take your time. Everything happened so fast, and multiple offers and all that kind of stuff. Although you did hear of a multiple offer situation recently, right?
Yeah, we did. Unfortunately, what happened in that market is we lost relativity because people were selling their homes thinking that they had made a windfall, and the next day they were out there to look for their property, or they were in the process. There wasn't anything available. By the time they found something, whatever windfall they had received or windfall that they perceived that they had made on their home, they were giving it back. They were having to purchase. The other thing that happened is that there was no statistics for us to actually do market evaluations correctly. So, you could sell your home today, and the next door neighbor could put his on the market tomorrow with the exact same home, and the numbers wouldn't be the same. So it was not a healthy market. It was a panic-driven market. there was a huge amount of money that was coming in from other sources other than the Lower Mainland, lots of immigration, and unfortunately, it was not a healthy market to work within. So I was happy when it actually settled in. Anytime you get 14 or 15 offers on a property, there's something wrong with the market. We just didn't have the supply, and that's not a healthy way to do business. And so I'm glad that's settled in. We were order takers.
Yeah.
It made our job very unprofessional in some ways because we
Mm.
couldn't really give great guidance.
Mm.
We were
Yeah.
just sort of taking the orders.
Although you had to, I can imagine that it took a lot of skill to work through 15 offers and figure that whole process out as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I've sold real estate for over 32 years. That's the most that's the craziest it's been since I've been in the business. And as you say, when you're sitting with 14 and 15 offers on the table, uh, inevitably 2 or 3 of them are ridiculously low, and 2 or 3 of them are ridiculously high. And a lot of those contracts were drafted without a lot of conditions on them, which made them a bit dangerous for the buyer. So again, there's a lot of things that were happening with those offers that put everybody sort of at risk. People were making offers they shouldn't be making, and they were doing it without terms. So again, not a healthy market. We are seeing some multiple offers right now, which is ironic again, because there's a little bit of a blip in the market. But again, I think it'll settle in over the fall, and we'll start to see it level out a bit.
Great. I'm glad you brought that around to back to today. Way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some technology that you're excited about. I don't know if you want to
Yeah,
mention that or just say a little bit about that. It's called Matterport.
yeah.
And what will Matterport do for your customers,
Well,
for your
I
clients?
think what Matterport means Matterport is the future. It's arrived. It's a technology that we now have that has really come to the forefront, particularly driven in a lot of ways by COVID. Obviously, technology is driving our business a lot of it, but when we get sort of jolted by something like this where we can't go out and see things, the technology of Matterport is a really key thing that we can start using to market. In a nutshell, Matterport is unlike a virtual tour, which we've been using for years, which takes a camera, puts a camera in, and it takes the shots of the rooms. Matterport takes those now and actually joins them together. So now it's a three-dimensional experience for the buyer. So when we log those onto our websites, onto the access points for our listings, you can literally, as a buyer, sit at your computer using your mouse. You can walk yourself through each of the rooms and see them in a three-dimensional way, almost at live. And you can take measurements of specific areas. So if you've got a large master suite, you can actually go in and measure where your bed would fit. You can do all that on this technology. And there's a couple things that obviously that's going to impact. First of all, you need to have a computer. I think it's pretty safe to assume most people are doing some home shopping. Most people are doing a little bit of checking as far as with their computer and seeing the photos. So the access is pretty easy. If you've got a mouse on your computer, you can use the system. It'll eliminate having to go to a lot of homes that are not going to be suitable to that person. You get an opportunity to really go through it in a virtual way, check it out. And again, it may be as simple as the master bedroom doesn't accommodate their king bedroom suite, and that means that they're out. And many times showing properties, I've had people walk through a house, they get to the master bedroom, they go, oh, our suite will never fit. So that's an important part, is they're going to have an opportunity. Is it going to stop them from wanting to see houses? No. I mean, I think the reality is it's going to help them to pare down a list of homes that are going to be suitable to them. And the beauty of it is that they do it in the comfort of their home. If they want to sit in their pajamas and look at houses on Matterport, they can actually do a bunch of tours, cut the list down, and go to the ones that really suit their needs. Obviously, going down this road leads me to believe we're going to go away from print even further. You know, the days where I'm having feature sheets printed are going to become less and less. And we have beautiful glossy photographs and feature sheets and information on the property. I find now less and less people are taking those sheets when they're going through, because they've actually seen these properties online.
Sure.
And
And if they want to go back and take a look, they can just go back to they probably save the link or whatever and just go back and take a look online.
Yeah, when the photos used to be, years ago, we used to take photos and they were just crappy. It didn't look like the house. It didn't look like the colors. Nothing was right. Then we got professional on it. We brought in professional photographers so that when you saw a photo of a room, it really indicated, or a picture of the house, it was really a great indicator.
Yeah.
But by going to the Matterport system, which I'm going to be working with going forward, those photos on the brochure, they've become almost insignificant. It's just a photo. Why not go in three-dimensionally and actually be able to walk through the house three-dimensionally?
Yeah.
So it's an improvement in technology. We'll save a few trees. We will be able to get better information out to those prospective buyers. And theoretically, we can actually really streamline the process of them buying, because they're going to give them an opportunity to sort of pick the best houses that suit their needs after sort of doing the previous walkthrough. Going through the house physically is going to be kind of a fun thing, because they're already going to be there. There will be an interesting changeover. So I'm excited about it. I love the idea that we're going to put those things at the fingertips of the people at home. Obviously, there's always going to be print information available for those people if they would like to hold a piece of print. But as the generation comes along, that's becoming less and less an issue, or less and less a desired thing. Young buyers, the millennials, none of them are really driven by paper anymore. So I'm very excited about it. I think it's an amazing technology. I'm learning it. I have lots to learn about it, but I think the technology of Matterport is probably it's the future which has arrived, and COVID has probably pushed a little bit more on that, because we haven't been able to go through houses.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. It'll be like an open house too. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
People were not able to go through open houses during COVID. You can go through and do your own open house now.
Excellent. I just got to give a timeout here, Mike. My battery's about to go. Sorry.
Okay. No worries.
I thought I was plugged in. I have the plug in on the side of the computer, but it's not in the plug. It doesn't do very much good.
Holding up the other end, right? It's not working.
Yeah. Well, that's cool.
It's an exciting technology, and I think it's a logical step for our industry to have that technology. And we've been experimenting through the Fraser Valley and Canadian Real Estate Association on how we can be able to continue business while being very careful about contact. But this is going to carry forward. Even when contact becomes the norm again, I think, again, you're going to see a lot of people going to this kind of technology so that their clients can do their own homework and the comfort of their own home.
Sounds neat. I love new technology. That's going to be great. And we're going to do some follow-up with that too, right? We were efforting to talk to the owners of that company and see if we could follow around one of their techs or whatever with a camera, but it didn't quite come together. But people can watch for that on Fraser Valley Lifestyle. Mike's gonna go out with his camera, his phone or whatever, and look at it a little more in depth. And Mike, you might even interview Tavish, who is he the owner of the company?
No. Tavish is a marketing consultant. They do a lot of the marketing, papers and flyers that we have. So he's the connection. So typically we'll contact him to set it up. Okay. We'll see how that goes in the future, whether you go directly to a company or whether you do it through a third party. But yeah, in the next couple of listings, when I get the right property, we'll launch it, and we'll make sure that we do some conversation and see if we can't film the process and we can put up, and then you can see the proof in the pudding when you see the actual Matterport of a house.
Yeah, neat. So on FraserValley.com, people can watch for that in the days to come. Stay tuned, as they say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And just to wrap things up, is there anything you want to say about Father's Day? I was kind of thinking about my Father's Day. It's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
What's your Father's Day going to be like?
Well, I think I'm going to invite it over for a brunch with my daughter, and I'll get to see the grandkids a little bit. So we'll do something there.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know. Father's Day. Every day is Father's Day. So it's. I think for me, it's going to be nice to go over and have a little visit. And I am enjoying. Obviously, we got some nice sunshine right now. I'm just enjoying the fact that we're able to go out and be a little bit more social. And obviously, we're still being very careful about what we do, but it's nice. Get out to the lakes, get out to all those places. If you can go for a walk, I mean, it's a gift to be able. We probably realize the gift that we have now. We didn't realize it quite as much as we do now.
Yeah.
Once it's taken away, that freedom to just have that walk in the forest or whatever. Well, so we'll no doubt do some hiking and some walking this weekend too.
Yeah.
How about
Awesome.
yourself?
Well, I'm like you. I just, as long as I can see the kids, I'm good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
it's
And hoping to see my dad as well. It's a bit of an unusual Father's Day. It happens to be our anniversary on the 21st. And we have a family member has some health issues as well. That's gonna kind of not complicate, but it makes getting together interesting. So
yeah,
we're working on it still.
right. Lots of conversation. Yeah, I
Yes.
think every situation. It's funny to me when I think of Mother's Day, and this I don't know what this means. When I think of Mother's Day, I think that's a very important recognition of Mother's Day. When it gets
Yeah.
to Father's Day, I kind of go, don't worry about it. We'll just have a cup of coffee together or whatever it is. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think learning to embrace it more and more as my kids get older.
Oh, it's a thing. I know there's been studies done. I can't remember specifically what they say, but there is
Yeah,
a difference between celebrating mothers and celebrating fathers. And
yeah,
there's a lot of reasons for that. So
probably. Yeah,
yeah.
no, I'm looking forward to, as you say, just seeing how it goes and enjoying it. And I'm looking forward to seeing some consistent sunshine out there for the next little while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, thanks for the conversation. And
Thanks, Rod.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
post
always
this.
nice to chat.
Yeah, and it just seems so logical and a necessary thing right now for people who are interested in real estate to check in regularly, because it just keeps changing. Like who expected that blip in June? Especially with how things, the way things were going and what the predictions were. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a very quick turn, and of course, we had a very quick turn when COVID hit. We went from busy market to a screeching halt, and it seems like we picked up where we left off. So again, great opportunity for a lot of people because of the interest rates, and I'm excited for my clients that want to make that move right now, and just being sensitive to the ones that want to stay put.
Right on. Okay,
Yeah.
take care.
Hey, have a great day, Rod. Thanks again for your
Yeah.
time.
Talk to you soon.
See ya.